leaving the college with Marcella, and he called Letty. We're here representing her mother, Letty. And he called Letty, and he says, I'm running a little late, but I want you to know I still love you. He doesn't do that. And then we never heard from him again. The biggest decision today, after 48 hours, was that Marcella, we took her off life support, and she took her last breath this morning. And we spent the last 48 hours like a cocoon. We wouldn't let anybody in there. It was just us. And we were loving her and telling her how much we loved her, and that we're going to miss her. And we're going to miss her. And this world is going to miss the Marcella Franco and Carlos Franco, the world, who are decent, loving, committed people. Carlos was leaving the college with Marcella, and he called.
What is it like to go through an experience like this?
It's tragic. Like, I'm a huge pro-gun advocate. I've been around guns all my life, but just to see it used for such evil and crime and just hatred and just making a great college campus just not a torture house, but just a place of just being scared.
I never saw a gun. Must be very frightening. The suspect, did you get a good enough look to be able to identify him? Or
from behind, I saw him turn, and he looked like he was Asian, but I'm not 100%. Another friend of mine is still in lockdown as well in a different building, and one of the students in that class said that they saw him and that he was Asian. And I saw them bring out somebody and put them in the back of the car, and he was Asian and dressed all in black.
That person was injured, or that person was alive and well?
He didn't look injured when they brought him out, but it was, you know.
Did anybody say
somebody and put them in the back of the car? And
do you know how many people are in the gym right now?
she said about 15.
15. Must be very, very frightening. The suspect, did you get a good enough look to be able to identify him? Or
from behind, I saw him turn, and he looked like he was Asian, but I'm not 100%. Another friend of mine is still in lockdown as well in a different building, and one of the students in that class said that they saw him and that he was Asian. And I saw.
Yeah, this is Jason Garrett. I want to chat with him because I chatted with you a little while ago. You actually saw the shooter, is that correct?
I saw the shooter. There were shots in the library, and I saw him coming around and walking towards the other end of campus. He was dressed all in black. When
you said he had a vest on.
Yeah, it looked like it was a tactical vest.
Something that would protect him from gunfire.
Right.
And we believe at that point he proceeded to the college campus. And we have witness reports from our Jeff Nguyen, who tells us that the suspect was very calm. It wasn't fidgeting. Left side of your screen right now, live pictures, and you see what appears to be Santa Monica police taking a suspect or a person into custody.
Well, it's certainly
we don't know if it's a suspect.
And it was at that point I realized that this was not a paintball gun into her car. And it was at that point I realized that this was not a paintball gun. And I ran in the house to call 911. But I assumed were gunshots. I came running out of the house because my son had just left. And I thought, you know, somebody was shooting him. And
I turned the corner, and what I saw was a man with black hair in a Kevlar vest with a black shirt and a rifle standing on the corner, on the left-hand corner, motioning a girl in her car to come forward. And she did, but he still had his gun trained on her, and he was so intent on looking at her, and she started to get out of the car. I got angry, and I thought, why isn't he leaving her alone? She's doing what he's asking. She's pulling over, and she started to get out of the car. I accelerated, and when his gaze went from her to me, what I saw in his eyes was terrifying, because that was not a human being. That was somebody who was going out to execute. He had no higher functioning going on that I could tell. It was just absolute execution. And when he turned his gaze to me, I realized that that's what he was going to do. And when he shot into the car, I hit the curb that he was on, and the bullet entered, 2 bullets entered my left shoulder and threw me over to the side. And then he just stood in front of the car as he was walking to her to carjack her car, and he just kept shooting and shooting. And I felt the bullets go into my other side. It crossed my eye. It tore my ear in half, so it was very, very close. And I just ducked, and I just remember laying on the passenger side thinking, please stop, just please stop shooting. And that I needed to play dead so he wouldn't come back. And then I had my cell phone, and I was calling my husband and just praying that somebody would come out to the car to help me, which they did. They did as soon as he left.
Russell, I mean, what was the first that you heard about this?
I'm sitting in my office, my phone rings. It says my wife is calling. I pick it up expecting a normal conversation about what time I'm going to be home and what we're going to do with the kids that night. And I hear my wife yelling she's been shot. And it's a call you never want to get.
It certainly is. And Deborah, I mean, what kind of gun was he using?
He had an automatic rifle, and it was very obvious that it was. And that's why at first I thought he might be with the SWAT team, because I couldn't understand how a civilian would have a rifle like that. And he had magazine after magazine of ammunition. So I thought he was official.
This is Piers Morgan Live.